Hey, hi, howdy. Hello. Hello. I'm debating on listening to the scariest story I've ever heard or what I've got pulled up right now. I think tomorrow or over the weekend I will pull up um, the scariest story I've ever heard. And we can do a weekend stream of that. Um, a quick note. A small little glowy moment for me that I deserve. Yet another person that had smeared me all over the place and spread a bunch of bullshit has just been exposed for the lying, doxing, real life going sack of shit they are. You guys just keep doing what you're doing. You're exposing yourselves. And I had nothing to do with it. But you fuckheads are all doing it for me. I didn't have to do a damn thing. Literally, all but two of the people, who were harassing me, going real life on me, fabricating shit, and spreading all kinds of nonsense. All but two of them have all been exposed for being lying, doxing, real life going sacks of shit. Or worse, some of them have been exposed for being worse than they pretended that I was. Karma's a bitch, ain't it? Yet another one has gone down. And I think one of those people don't even stream anymore. So, you know, womp womp on that one. After they got exposed for supporting a C abuser, and a DV committer, and platforming one, and actively supporting that abuser while they were in active abuse of people, they kind of don't do anything anymore. I wouldn't either. I would be very ashamed of myself. You know? But that just goes to show you the truth will always win out in the end. I didn't have to say anything. I didn't have to defend myself. I didn't have to spread a bunch of bullshit. I didn't have to rage against the fucking fray or whatever. No. It all handled itself as it always does. And now they're gonna have to lay down and sleep in the bed of shit they made for themselves. And I love that for them. And that's all I've got to say about it. You did it to yourself. You cannot go around doing to people what you did to people and expect nothing to happen. Hello, William and Bocus. Hey, Joey. Yeah, hang on. It's a dragon. I can unfold it for you, though, if you want. Hang on one second. Let me move my stuff. It's big, so I'm gonna have to really unfold it. I'm having to fold it in half because it's huge. But no, I feel vindicated in more than one way because, and I didn't even have to do anything. That's the picture. It's fucking gorgeous. But yeah, like all the shit I've been through this year, I deserved that little win. Honestly, I deserved it. Because I did not deserve what was done to me. Especially at the time it was done to me. Because at the time, I could not defend myself because I couldn't talk about it. Um, like, I legally could not talk about it because I was actively going through court at the time against him. And they knew that. And they were attacking me and spreading gossip and lies and conjecture at a time where I could not come out and correct them. And that's a coward move, to attack somebody when they cannot defend themselves. But then again, they are all cowards, so what did I expect? You know? So, like, who attacks somebody when they're actively going through something like that, anyway? But, you know, it is what it is, and anywho, now I can pretty well close that chapter because I feel like I've gotten closure. And now I move on. Well, I have moved on anyway, but I can completely shut that door. Because those who were involved have all been fucking exposed for being massive pieces of shit. So, bye, Felicia. Anyway, what we will be listening to today will be Nightmare Narratives, Scary Park Ranger Stories in the Appalachian. I love these stories because they cover a wide range of paranormal stuff, like skinwalkers, wendigos, ghosts, poltergeist, like a ton of cryptids you don't normally hear about. It is. I don't know, Dylan. I like the stories. And it is thick. I do have a very thick accent. I don't know if I would say I believe in cryptids. I think there are things out there that we don't understand. I will go that far. But I don't know if I believe in the Wendigo or Skinwalker. I'm not going to say it doesn't exist because, frankly, I don't know. I have never seen one personally. Um, but I've never seen a lot of things that I know exist. I just haven't seen them. Do you believe in magic in a young girl's heart? Do you believe in magic? Young from the start. I'm sorry. You said, do you believe in magic? I couldn't help it. I'm sorry. I hope you don't have a rabbit stuck in your ass, is what I hope. I mean, why do you... First, I have questions. What is the rabbit doing in there? First of all. No, I think that's my only question, actually. Why? Why? You do realize they make things for the booty hole. You don't have to put an innocent animal in a dark and desolate situation. You don't have to stick a rabbit in your glory hole. Okay? They make butt plugs. They make, booty hole stuff. I mean, please don't put rabbits in there. Please. That's cruel.
I can picture some of you already in bed. Maybe some of you just getting home from work.
Wait a minute, stop. Dude's over here in the chat talking about putting rabbits up his ass, and this guy's over here talking about he can picture me in bed. The hell is this? This stream's gonna go sideways. It's gonna go sideways. I can already tell. Somebody's talking about booty hole stuff, and the narrator's talking about seeing me in bed. No, I'm good. No.
Where you are, whatever time it is, I'm glad you're here. If this helps you relax or sleep, please like and subscribe. It means a lot. Now let's get you comfortable, and I'll tell you tonight's story.
I don't know how comfortable I am with you picturing me in bed.
My name is
That's a little
Marcus
weird.
Colson, but everyone calls me Mark. I've been a forest ranger for 16 years now, and before that I spent 8 years down in the coal mines, just like my daddy and his daddy before him. 3 generations of Colsons, pulling black gold out of these Kentucky mountains. I'm 41 years old, and my lungs already sound like an old truck trying to start on a cold morning. That's what happens when you breathe coal dust for most of your 20s. The doctor says I got maybe 10 good years left before I'll need one of those oxygen tanks, but I try not to think about that too much. These days, I work for the Daniel Boone National Forest, checking on old mine sites and making sure hikers don't fall down any forgotten shafts. It's quiet work
He
mostly.
said shaft.
I like it that way.
I bet you
After
do.
years of dynamite blasts and machinery noise underground, I appreciate the sound of wind through pine trees. But last Tuesday, that quiet got broken real fast. I was sitting in my truck, eating lunch and filling out paperwork, when Jerry Patterson came running up the trail like his pants were on fire. Jerry's a local caver, one of those guys who loves crawling through tight spaces underground for fun. Usually he's calm as a lake in summer. "Mark!" he yelled, leaning against my truck to catch his breath. "You gotta come look at this. Something's wrong with the old Hendricks mine." The Hendricks mine. I knew that place well. It was dug back in the 1890s, went deep into Colson Ridge. Yeah, same name as my family. The mine had been sealed up tight for over 80 years, ever since the big fire in 1891 that killed 47 miners. Local folks still won't go near it after dark. "What kind of wrong?" I asked, closing my lunchbox. Jerry wiped sweat from his forehead. "Me and Billy went to check out some of the side caves near the old entrance. We wanted to see if any new passages had opened up after that big storm last month. And there's something moving around in there, Mark. Something big. We saw eyes, red eyes, glowing like car headlights. And the smell." He made a face like he'd eaten something rotten. "Smells like eggs gone bad. Like sulfur." I'd heard stories like this before. Old mines do funny things to people's minds. The air gets thin, carbon monoxide builds up, and suddenly you're seeing all kinds of things that aren't there. My own grandfather used to tell stories about mine spirits, said they were just the ghosts of dead miners, looking for a way out. "Jerry," I said, trying to keep my voice gentle, "you know what happens when people go poking around old mines? Bad air can make you see things." That's what I thought too. He reached into his backpack and pulled out a camera. "But look at this." He showed me a picture on the little screen. It was dark and fuzzy, but
I love cherry blossoms. I don't like flowers very much. But if I had to pick a flower, it would be the cherry blossom. That is literally the only flower I really like. And it's really not like a floral flower. It's a tree. You know. But I love this. It's gorgeous. I can't wait to get it done. It's diamond art. I got this one in a package deal off of Temu if you're interested. Temu has this exact one. Just go on Temu and look up diamond art, and they have hundreds of thousands of these paintings. I think so. I think so. It should have. The number is 1942, 70 by 40, if that helps. Take a screenshot of that and look for those numbers. And that should help you find this particular one. I don't think I gave very much for this one. The Three Wolves, I think I got 5 in all. And they were all pretty big. I think I may have given $5, including shipping. So, like, it wasn't much. I think, in all, I may have paid $5. So, it was very inexpensive. and cost effective and relaxing. So, if you're interested in this diamond art painting, I got it from Temu. I hardly ever order anything offline, but they had some good deals, so I gave it a try. Amazon could have them. You just have to look. They'd be more expensive on Amazon. You wouldn't get it as cheap as I got this one. I am a single mom on a budget. So I can't be spending a lot of money. So I go to Temu.
I could make out the wooden supports of an old mine tunnel, and there, carved deep into the wood, were claw marks. Fresh claw marks. Those beams are over 100 years old, Jerry said. Wood's hard as stone by now, but these scratches are new, Mark. Real new. I stared at the photo. Those marks were deep, too deep for any animal I knew about, and they were in a pattern, like fingers dragging down the wood. Show me, I said. 20 minutes later, we were standing at the old mine entrance. The state had welded steel bars across the opening back in the 50s, but time and weather had rusted them pretty good. Someone, or something, had bent two of the bars apart, creating a gap just big enough for a person to squeeze through. I pulled out my flashlight and shined it into the darkness. The beam barely reached 10 feet before the black swallowed it up. But I could see those claw marks Jerry had photographed, and more besides. They covered the wooden supports like scratch marks from a giant cat. When did you first notice this? I asked. Yesterday morning. Billy and I were exploring the cave system about half a mile east of here. We heard sounds coming from this direction, like metal being twisted. By the time we got here, the bars were already bent. I knelt down and examined the ground near the entrance. The dirt was disturbed, like something heavy had been dragging across it. But the strange thing was the temperature. It was a cool October day, maybe 55 degrees, but the air coming out of that mine felt warm, almost hot. You boys didn't go inside, did you? Jerry shook his head fast. No, sir. Billy wanted to, but I told him we should get you first. Something about this whole thing feels wrong, Mark. Really wrong. I stood up and brushed dirt off my knees. My breathing was getting a little rough. It always did when I got nervous. I'll need to go down there and take a look. File a proper report. You want me to come with you? No. I was already thinking about the equipment I'd need. This is official business now. You boys stay away from here until I can figure out what's going on. Jerry nodded, but I could see he wasn't happy about it. Cavers are curious people by nature. Telling them to stay away from an interesting hole in the ground is like telling a dog not to chase a rabbit. As we walked back to the trucks, I kept thinking about those claw marks. I'd been in and out of dozens of old mines over the years. I knew what animal damage looked like. Bears, wildcats, even large dogs. They all left different kinds of marks. But these were different. They were too deep, too deliberate. And they were everywhere, like whatever made them had been very angry about something. That night, I sat at my kitchen table with a cup of coffee and pulled out every file I had on the Hendricks mine. The official records were pretty basic. Mine opened in 1889, good quality coal, employed about 60 men at its peak. Then came the fire in 1891. According to the report, it started deep in the mine, in a sect, and they called the Black Seam because the coal there was so pure it looked like polished obsidian. The fire spread fast through the tunnels, trapping 47 miners underground. By the time rescue teams could get to them, it was too late. But what caught my attention was a detail I'd never noticed before. The rescue team captain, a man named Samuel Wright, wrote in his report that the fire was still burning when they went down. Not just smoldering, actively burning, with flames hot enough to melt metal support beams. Coal fires aren't that unusual. Sometimes they can burn underground for years. But this fire had been burning for over 80 years now. And according to Wright's report, it was burning hotter than any coal fire he'd ever seen. I closed the file and rubbed my eyes. Tomorrow I'd have to go down into that mine and see what was really going on. Part of me, The part that had grown up hearing ghost stories about dead miners was already dreading it. But the ranger part of me, the part that had a job to do, knew I didn't have a choice. Whatever was down there, I was going to find it. I spent Wednesday morning gathering equipment. If I was going into an old mine, I was going to do it right. I loaded my truck with a modern breathing mask, extra batteries for my lights, a gas detector for methane and carbon monoxide, rope, first aid kit, and my radio, though I doubted it would work once I got deep enough underground. The drive back to Hendrick's mine took about 30 minutes through winding mountain roads. When I arrived, I noticed something that made my stomach tighten up. The gap between the bent bars was wider than it had been yesterday, a lot wider. I parked the truck and walked over to examine the entrance. The steel bars were bent outward now, like something had pushed them from the inside. The metal was twisted in a way that would take incredible strength or incredible heat. I ran my fingers along one of the bars. It was warm to the touch, even though the morning air was cold enough to see my breath. "What the hell?" I muttered, pulling out my gas detector. The device immediately started beeping. Methane levels were high, but not dangerous yet. Carbon monoxide was barely registering, but the temperature reading made me stop and check the device twice. According to my detector, the air coming out of the mine was 97 degrees. That was impossible. The ground temperature in these mountains never got above 60 degrees, even in summer. And this was October. I strapped on my breathing mask and checked my equipment one more time. The mask would give me about 2 hours of clean air. Plenty of time to take a quick look around and get back to the surface. The entrance tunnel was about 7 feet high and wide enough for 2 men to walk side by side. My flashlight beam cut through the darkness, showing wooden support beams that were black with age and moisture. But as I walked deeper, I noticed something strange. The wood wasn't rotting. After 80 years in a damp mine.
Hey, Hammer. How you doing? Hey, Tammy. And everybody. And April. And a collective hello to anyone I may have missed. ADHD moment. Sorry. I really don't mean to leave people out. I just get distracted easily. But if you've listened to me for any amount of time, you already know I get easily distracted. I don't mean to, but it happens. Nope, I am not, and I am not Wonder Woman. I have flaws. I have a lot of them. I am not, in fact, perfect. I am very flawed, and I am broken. But the difference between me and a lot of people is I openly admit that I am broken. I don't go around breaking or attempting to break other people to make myself feel better. I don't really get that either. I don't understand breaking another human being and feeling good about it. My conscience would eat me alive if I treated people the way that they have treated me. Like, I would not be able to live with myself if I had done a third of the shit they did to me. Especially at the time they did it. You have to be heartless as hell. Or just outright psychotic. Like, I don't understand it. I don't understand cruelty. But no, I am by no means perfect. I have quirks. I have flaws. I have ADHD. I get sidetracked very easily. That's one reason I don't really do themed live streams a lot, because oftentimes I get distracted by something and get off on a whole different topic. But I'm pretty open with my flaws and shortcomings. Because if you don't acknowledge them, you can't work on them and get better. And that may be true. Or that person is a psychopathic narcissist who doesn't care about anything or anyone. And I am a survivor of a psychopath narcissist. And I think that in and of itself is saying something. To come through everything I've come through is no small feat. And I'm very proud of myself for everything I've done and everything I've accomplished. And I have every right to be. Because none of it's been easy. None of it.
Those beams should have been falling apart. Instead, they looked almost preserved, like the heat was drying them out instead of letting them decay. 20 feet in, I found the first set of claw marks Jerry had photographed. Up close, they were even more disturbing. 4 parallel gouges, each about an inch deep, ran from eye level down to about 3 feet off the ground. Whatever made them had to be big. I took out my camera and snapped several pictures, then continued deeper into the mine. The main tunnel split into 3 directions, about 50 feet from the entrance. My grandfather's old stories came back to me. He'd worked this mine as a young man before the fire. He always said the middle tunnel led to the black seam where the best coal was. That's where the fire had started. I chose the middle path. The temperature kept rising as I went deeper. My gas detector was beeping steadily now, registering 98.9, then over 100 degrees. I was starting to sweat inside my breathing mask, which wasn't supposed to happen. Then I saw the first impossible thing. The tunnel ahead of me wasn't built by miners. Oh, it started out normal. Wooden supports, tool marks on the walls where men had chipped away at the rock. But about 100 feet in, the tunnel changed. The walls became smooth, almost like glass. They curved in a way.
I'm going to turn this down a bit. It's a little loud. Oh, hey Kiwi. I would say I'm doing good, but I don't want to lie. So, I'm here. And I'll leave it at that. I'm here. And I don't want anybody to mistake me. Yeah, I've come through a lot, and I've won in the end. But I'm struggling. Not really financially. I don't need anything. Mostly moral support for what I'm about to have to do. It's all taking a toll, and I'd be lying if I said I'm fine and it didn't. I'm struggling. Like, this, one thing that I don't understand is this whole year I've handled everything pretty well, emotionally wise. But I want to say over the last month, not even a whole month now, I guess it's all just catching up or something. I don't know. But I've been having these reoccurring nightmares. And like waking up all panicked and shit. And like finding it hard to breathe. And it's really unpleasant. So like it's things like that that is not so good right now. I've thought about talking to the doctor and see if they know what the hell that is. Or if I don't know. But like, I guess that's why I'm having a hard time going to sleep. But like, I'll wake up like that though, Kiwi. That's what I'm trying to say is, like, even thinking about it, I'm getting like that feeling. Like, I will go to sleep, and then, like, I'll have the dream, and it's always the same dream, and it's horrible, and I wake up, like, covered in sweat, and I can't breathe. I don't know how to explain it.
Low battery.
I don't think I'm explaining it right. But it's weird. I don't understand why it's happening. I just don't like it, and it's a thing that I wish would stop being a thing. Like, when I wake up, like, my heart is racing, and there's nothing wrong with my heart. Like, I've had EKGs done in the past, and my heart's good.
Low battery.
But, like, I wake up and, like, it's racy, and I feel like I can't breathe. I'm not going to say I can't breathe, because I clearly can, because I'm living. But, it feels like I can't catch my breath. Like, it's weird, and I don't like it. And I don't. Anyway, so that's the thing that's happening. And, yeah. Well, whatever it is, I don't like it. Well, the problem with the nightmare is it's not so much a nightmare as much as it is a memory that, like, keeps coming back in the form of a dream. If that makes sense. Because the thing that I'm dreaming about actually happened, but, like, I'm dreaming about it. And that wakes me up in a state of that. I'm probably explaining this terribly, but anyway. Yeah, I think I'm gonna, like, if this keeps happening, and it doesn't, like, go away, I will probably talk to my physician about it, because yeah, something needs to happen with that. I can't. Like, I'm already dealing with a lot. So, If it could just not, that would be great.
That looked natural, like flowing water, but they were cut through solid rock. No mining equipment could do work like that. It would take incredibly high heat to melt rock in those kinds of patterns. I played my flashlight beam along the walls and found more claw marks, hundreds of them. They covered every surface, overlapping and crossing like some kind of angry message written in a language I couldn't read. That's when I heard the sound. It started low, like the rumble of distant thunder, but it was coming from deeper in the mine, and it was getting closer. I stood perfectly still, listening. The sound came again. Not thunder, breathing. Something huge was breathing in the darkness ahead of me. Every instinct I had screamed.
It's a dragon. See my dragon? And it's cherry blossoms. I like this little temple thing. If I ever got to build a house the way I want it, like my dream house would look like that. I love the way they're made. There's a dragon. It is. And I think after I finish it, I'll either sell it or do a giveaway. Because the wolf with the cherry blossoms I've already given away when I finished that one. I've still got the 4 Seasons one that I finished. If anybody wants that one. But once I get done with this one, I'll probably either do a giveaway or sell it.
Me to run, but I was a ranger, and this was my job. I had to know what was down here. I moved forward as quietly as I could, playing my light ahead of me. The tunnel curved to the right, and as I came around the bend, I saw something that made me forget how to breathe. The tunnel opened into a large chamber, maybe 30 feet across. The walls glowed with a dull red light like embers in a fireplace. And in the center of the chamber, sitting on what looked like a throne made of coal, was something that definitely wasn't human. It was about the size of a large man, but that's where the similarity ended. Its skin looked like charcoal, black and rough, with cracks that glowed red like it was burning from the inside. Its arms were too long, ending in hands with fingers like railroad spikes. And its eyes were the color of melted steel, and they were looking right at me. I don't remember making the decision to run. 1 second I was staring at that thing, and the next I was sprinting back through the tunnel as fast as my legs could carry me. Behind me I heard a sound like a freight train starting up, a roar that made the tunnel shake and sent rocks falling from the ceiling. The temperature was rising fast now. My gas detector was screaming warnings about heat levels. The wooden support beams were starting to smoke. I made it to the 3-way split and dove down the left tunnel instead of going back the way I'd come. I could hear that thing moving behind me, and I could smell sulfur so strong it made my eyes water even through my breathing mask. The left tunnel was shorter than the middle one. It came out on the side of the mountain, about 50 feet above the main entrance. I burst out into daylight and kept running until I reached my truck. Only then did I stop and look back at the mine. Black smoke was pouring out of both entrances. As I watched, the steel bars across the main entrance glowed red, then white hot, then melted completely. The wooden frame around the entrance caught fire and burned away in seconds. I grabbed my radio and called it in. This is Ranger Colson requesting immediate fire department response at Hendricks Mine. We have a major underground fire. Repeat, major underground fire. But even as I made the call, I knew the fire department wouldn't be able to help with this. You can't put out something that burns rock. 20 minutes later, I was sitting in my truck with Fire Chief Bobby Mullins, watching smoke pour out of the mountainside. "Mark," he said, "I've been fighting fires for 23 years, and I've never seen anything like this. The heat coming out of that mine is melting the rock around the entrance. Any idea what could cause it?" Bobby shook his head. "Coal fires can burn hot, but not this hot. And they sure don't start Champonium Mom." Again, after being dormant for 80 years. He looked at me. "You were down there."
I know what it is. Have any of you watched The Lord of the Rings? Do you know when Gandalf was in the cave and the giant fiery beast guy with a little whippy tail, and Gandalf was all like, "You shall not pass"? The thing he was fighting in the cave, that's what that is. So, it has been confirmed. You heard it here, folks. The Lord of the Rings was real. Totally legit.
"What did you see?" I thought about the thing on the throne of coal, with its glowing eyes and railroad spike fingers. I thought about the tunnel that looked like it had been melted through solid rock. "Gas buildup," I said. "Must have ignited when I went in with my flashlight." It was a lie, but it was a lie that made sense. Bobby nodded and made a note on his clipboard. "We'll have to keep people away from this whole area until the fire burns itself out," he said. I looked back at the mountain. The smoke was getting thicker, and I could swear I saw shapes moving around inside it. Shapes that walked on two legs. "How long do you think that'll take?" I asked. Bobby shrugged. "Coal fires can burn for decades. Could be a long wait." As we drove away, I kept watching the smoke in my...
Sure, tell me a secret. Dumbledore is real too? I mean, if Gandalf and the fiery beast fella guy that I can't remember the name of is real, then Dumbledore is real. Listen, folks, we talk about the important shit over here, okay? None of that wampus cat stuff over here. Oh, Gandalf? Yeah. Speaking of which, you have not had your Gandalf fix for the night. Where is he? Hold on a second. Oh, the Gandalf. Yeah, she pretty little baby. Belly rubs from the chat. Look at his little foot. He's got his little foot. Look at it. Toby. Sweet little baby. stretch. Oh, stretch. Oh, big stretch. Big stretch. Yeah. Stretch your little toe beans. He is cute, and he knows it, and he's rotten. He never gets far from Mama. I got a makeup brush. Sweet. Thank you. Oh my god, y'all have to see this. Oh, look at him. Oh. Oh, little belly. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, belly whoops. Oh, big yawn. Yeah, big yawn. Here's your baby. Yeah. Oh, big yawn number 2. Yeah. Oh. Give mommy kisses. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, another yawn. I'm so sleepy. Oh. Yeah. I'm so tired. Oh, big yawn. Oh, you're gonna chew on me now? He'll hold my hand. Oh. Yeah. He's gonna get me. Oh, goodness. Grr. A grr. It's a grr. Oof. 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 Oh, oof. Yeah. Oof. A booger. A booger. A booger. A booger. Oh, whoa. Yeah. Yeah. Grr. Get it. I'm gonna get it. Oh, 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 oh. I'm gonna get it. Oh, oh, I'm gonna get it. Oh, oh. Oh, oh, grr. 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 Ow. No, he's not biting. He don't bite. Like, he'll, like, put my hand in his mouth, but he doesn't bite. He's a good boy. Yeah, him a good boy. Oh, back scratches. Yeah. He's such a good boy. Oh, scratching back. Yeah. He's rotten is what he is. No good. Ow. You get me. Oh. He's a good boy. Yeah. It's my baby. Okay, we've had our Gandalf break. Usually in my live streams, I'll take a minute or two, I call it a Gandalf break because I know all you come here for the Gandalf anyway. So we take Gandalf breaks.
Rear view mirror. And I kept thinking about those
He's
glowing
currently
eyes.
crashing out.
Whatever
over
was
here.
down there, it wasn't just going to stay buried anymore. I didn't sleep much that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that thing
What?
sitting on its cold throne, staring at me with eyes like molten metal. By morning, I'd made a decision that probably wasn't very smart. I was going back. But I wasn't going alone this time. Dr. Patricia Minefield was a geologist from the University of Kentucky who specialized in underground formations. I'd worked with her before on a couple of sinkhole investigations, and she was smart as a whip and tough as old leather. If anyone could help me figure out what was really happening at Hendrick's mine, it was Pat. I called her around 7 in the morning. "Mark, what's wrong? You sound terrible." "I need your help with something, Pat. Something strange." I told her about the mine, about the impossible temperatures and the melted rock tunnels. I didn't mention the thing I'd seen. Not yet. That conversatis needed to happen in person. "Interesting," she said when I finished. "Underground coal fires can produce some unusual geological effects. When did you say this started?" "Yesterday. But, Pat, this isn't just a coal fire."
I think you could, I think you can do that. It's your mom. I don't think they can do anything about it. I mean, that's your mother. Like, what are they going to do? Tell you you have no rights to your mother? They can't do that. And I absolutely believe you should contest it. I still think you need to go through family law, though. At the very least, you can go to small claims. You can, yeah, absolutely. That will have to be done in family court. But, like, as far as getting any properties or belongings, that would be done in small claims court. Or you would have to file a lawsuit. A personal lawsuit. Yeah, he's a Gandalf. He's a baby. He's a baby. Yeah, he's a good baby. He had to come over here for some snuggles. I love my dog. I do. I love him very much. I do.
"I think we're dealing with something more complicated. I can be there by noon. Email me the GPS coordinates." 3 hours later, Pat's Jeep pulled up next to my truck at the base of Colson Ridge. She climbed out wearing her usual field gear, khaki pants, work boots, and a hard hat with a headlamp attached. At 52, she was in better shape than most people half her age. "Show me what you've got," she said. The mine entrance was still smoking, but the fire seemed to have died down overnight. The melted steel bars had cooled into twisted sculptures, and the wooden frame was just a pile of ash. Pat walked around the entrance, taking measurements and making notes in a small notebook. She had instruments I'd never seen before, things that beeped and clicked and showed numbers on digital displays. "Temperature's still elevated," she said, checking one of her devices. "But not as high as you described yesterday, maybe 90 degrees. Is that normal for a coal fire?" "Not particularly. Most coal fires burn at fairly low temperatures underground, maybe 400 or 500 degrees. Hot enough to be dangerous, but not hot enough to melt steel bars.
Skeeter,
She
skeeter,
looked at the
skeeter.
twisted metal. This would require temperatures over 2,000 degrees. So what could cause that? Pat was quiet for a minute, studying her instruments. There are a few possibilities. Gas explosion, maybe. Or if there's a particularly rich vein of coal down there, it could burn much hotter than normal. She looked up at me. You said you went inside yesterday. How far did you get? I told her about the tunnel system, about the melted rock walls, and the impossible architecture. I still didn't mention the creature. I want to see this for myself, she said. Pat, I don't think that's a good idea. Whatever's down there is dangerous. Mark, I've been studying underground formations for 25 years. I've been in coal mines, lava tubes, limestone caves, and some places that don't have names yet. Trust me, I can handle whatever's down there. An hour later, we were both suited up with breathing gear and safety equipment. Pat had enough instruments hanging off her belt to stock a small laboratory. I carried extra lights and emergency gear. The entrance tunnel was clear, though the walls were still warm to the touch. Our footsteps echoed in the darkness, and I found myself jumping at every small sound. Remarkable, Pat said when we reached the three-way split. She was examining the claw marks with a magnifying glass. These are definitely recent, but I've never seen anything like them. What kind of animal could make marks like that? That's just it. I don't think an animal did make them. Look at the spacing and depth. These were made by something with incredible strength and very specific anatomy. She looked up at me. Mark, what aren't you telling me? I took a deep breath. Pat, yesterday, when I was down here, I saw something. Something that wasn't human. She raised an eyebrow. Go on. I told her about the creature on the coal throne, about its burning skin and glowing eyes. As I talked, her expression changed from skeptical to interested to genuinely concerned. You think you hallucinated it? I thought so at first. Bad air, stress, maybe carbon monoxide poisoning. But look around us, Pat. Look at these tunnels. Something melted through solid rock down here. Pat was quiet for a long moment, studying the walls with her instruments. The geological evidence supports extremely high temperatures, she said finally. Temperatures that shouldn't be possible in a natural coal fire. So, what are we dealing with? I don't know yet, but I think we need to see this chamber you found. We took the middle tunnel, moving slowly, and checking our instruments constantly. The temperature rose steadily as we went deeper, and Pat's equipment was registering mineral compositions that didn't make sense. Mark, she said, stopping to check one of her devices. According to this, the rock composition changes about 50 feet ahead. It's showing traces of minerals that shouldn't exist at this depth. What kind of minerals? Elements that only form under extreme pressure and heat. We're talking about conditions you'd find in the Earth's mantle, not in a shallow coal mine. We reached the curve in the tunnel, and I motioned for Pat to stop. The chamber's just ahead, I whispered. If that thing is still there. Let's find out. We crept around the curve and into the chamber. It was empty, but the throne of coal was still there. And now I could see that it wasn't just sitting on the chamber floor. It was growing out of it, like the coal had somehow formed itself into furniture. Pat moved into the chamber with her instruments out, taking readings and making notes. This is impossible, she kept muttering. These readings are impossible. What's impossible about them? The coal formation here isn't natural. It's been shaped, molded, like someone worked it while it was soft. But coal doesn't get soft unless it's heated to over 1,000 degrees. She knelt down next to the throne and scraped off a small sample with a knife. And this isn't regular coal. It's almost pure carbon, but with a crystalline structure I've never seen before. That's when we heard the footsteps. They were coming from deeper in the chamber, from a tunnel I hadn't noticed the day before. Slow, heavy steps that echoed off the walls like drum beats. We need to leave, I said. Now. But Pat was transfixed by her instruments. Mark, look at this. The temperature just spiked to over 500 degrees. The footsteps were getting closer. I grabbed Pat's arm and pulled her toward the tunnel entrance. "We're leaving." She didn't argue this time. We ran through the tunnels as fast as our equipment would allow, while behind us the temperature kept rising and the walls started glowing red. We made it to the entrance just as the first explosion shook the mountain. The blast knocked us both to the ground and sent rocks flying out of the mine entrance. When the dust settled, I looked back and saw that the opening had partially collapsed. "Is everyone okay?" Pat asked, checking herself for injuries. "I think so, but we're not going back down there." Pat was looking at her instruments, and her face had gone pale. "Mark, according to my seismic equipment, that explosion came from at least 500 feet underground, and it wasn't caused by gas." "What do you mean?" "The pattern is all wrong for a gas explosion. This was structural, like something broke through a rock wall from the inside." As if to prove her point, another explosion shook the ground beneath our feet. This one was followed by a sound I remembered from the day before, that freight train roar. And then I saw them. 3 figures climbed out of the partially collapsed mine entrance. They looked like the creature I'd seen on the throne, but smaller, maybe the size of normal people. Their skin was the same charcoal black with glowing red cracks, and they moved in a way that wasn't quite human. "Pat," I said quietly, "don't move." She looked where I was pointing and froze. "What are they?" "I don't know, but they're looking for something." The creatures spread out, examining the ground around the mine entrance. One of them found our footprints and let out a sound like steam escaping from a pressure valve. The others gathered around, and they all turned to look in our direction. We were about 50 yards away, hidden behind some trees, but I had the feeling that distance wasn't going to matter much. "Run," I said. We ran. Behind us, I could hear the creatures giving chase. They moved fast, but not in straight lines. They seemed to flow from place to place like liquid shadow, and everywhere they stepped, the ground smoked. Pat's Jeep was closer than my truck. We dove inside and she gunned the engine as we tore down the mountain road. I looked back and saw all 3 creatures standing at the edge of the tree line, watching us go. "What the hell were those things?" Pat gasped. "I think," I said. "They used to be miners." We drove straight to Pat's motel room in town, where she had more equipment and a laptop computer. While she analyzed the samples she'd collected, I made some phone calls. First, I called Fire Chief Bobby Mullins and told him to keep everyone away from Colson Ridge until further notice. Then I called my supervisor and requested emergency authority to evacuate the camping area near the mine. "Mark," my supervisor said, "you're talking about closing down a popular recreation area based on what, exactly?" "Geological instability, underground fires have..."
Marty McFly. It's okay, April. I will. I'll tell them in the morning. They're doing great, by the way. They are thriving. I think we're supposed to go ghost hunting. Again. Love you. Did you see a trash panda, Marty? Like a raccoon? I love raccoons. Hence the namesake. I think raccoons are the cutest things. They're so jovial and adorable and mischievous. I just love them so much.
weakened the rock structure. It's not safe. It wasn't exactly a lie. The ground probably was unstable. I just wasn't mentioning why. While I was making calls, Pat was getting more and more excited about her test results. "Mark, you need to see this," she said, pointing at her laptop screen. "This coal sample isn't like anything in the geological record." "What do you mean?" "Regular coal forms over millions of years from compressed plant material. It's mostly carbon, but it has impurities, sulfur, ash, trace minerals. This sample is almost pure carbon, but it's arranged in a crystal lattice that shouldn't be possible." She pulled up another screen showing molecular diagrams. "And look at this. The sample is giving off heat, actual thermal energy. Coal doesn't do that unless it's burning, but this isn't combustion. It's like the carbon atoms themselves are generating energy." "So what does that mean?" "I think it means those creatures you saw aren't just living in the mine. They're part of it. The coal, the rock formations, even the tunnels. It's all one big organism." I sat down heavily in the motel room, a single chair. "An organism? Think about it. You said the tunnels looked melted, not carved. What if those creatures can somehow change the molecular structure of rock? Heat it up, reshape it, turn it into whatever they need? But how is that possible?" Pat was quiet for a minute, staring at her test results. "I've been thinking about the mine's history. 47 miners died in that fire in 1891. Their bodies were never recovered. The fire was too hot, and the tunnels were too dangerous." "Right. They're still down there somewhere." "What if they're not somewhere down there, Mark? What if they are down there? What if whatever process created those crystal formations also changed the miners themselves?" I thought about the creature on the coal throne, about its charcoal skin and glowing eyes. "You think those things used to be human?" "I think extreme heat and pressure, combined with high concentrations of carbon, might have created some kind of transformation. The miners didn't die in that fire. They became something else." Before I could respond, the lights in the motel room flickered. Then they went out completely. We sat in darkness for a moment, listening. Outside, I could hear car alarms going off, and in the distance, someone was shouting. "Power outage?" Pat asked. I looked out the window. The whole town was dark, but there was a red glow coming from the direction of Colson Ridge. "Pat," I said, "I think they're coming to town." We grabbed our equipment and ran outside. Main Street was chaos. People coming out of buildings, cars stopped in the middle of the road, everyone looking toward the mountains. The red glow was getting brighter, and as I watched, I could see shapes moving against the light. Lots of shapes. "How many miners died in that fire?" I asked. 47, Pat said. "Then we've got a problem." The creatures reached the edge of town, and about 20 minutes later, they moved in a group, flowing down Main Street like burning oil. Everywhere they stepped, the asphalt melted. Parked cars burst into flames when they got too close. Most people had the good sense to run, but some folks just stood there, staring like they couldn't believe what they were seeing. I tried to get everyone moving. "This is Ranger Colson," I shouted. "Everyone needs to evacuate the town immediately. Head south on Route 11. Some people listened. Others seemed frozen with fear. The creatures spread out, examining buildings, cars, anything human-made. They seemed confused by the modern world, like they were looking for something they remembered but couldn't quite find. That's when I figured it out. "Pat," I said, "they're looking for their families." "What?" "Think about it. These miners died over 100 years ago. Their wives, their children, they all lived here in town. The creatures are looking for people who've been dead for decades. One of the creatures approached an old woman who was too scared to run. It reached out with one of its spike-fingered hands and touched her face gently, almost tenderly. The woman screamed and collapsed, but I could see she wasn't hurt, just terrified. The creature made that steam-hissing sound again, but softer this time, sadder. "We have to help them," Pat said. "Help them what?" "They're dead, Pat. They've been dead for over a century." "No, Mark. I don't think they know that." She was right. The creatures were moving through town like they were searching for something specific. They'd approach people, examine them closely, then move on when they realized the person wasn't who they were looking for. But their presence was setting everything on fire. Buildings were starting to burn just from the heat they gave off. If we didn't do something soon, the whole town would be ash. We need to get them back to the mine, I said. How? I thought about the creature on the coal throne, the one that seemed bigger and more aware than the others. I think there's a leader. If we can get him to come out, maybe the others will follow. That's a hell of a gamble, Mark. You got a better idea? We loaded up Pat's Jeep with all the equipment we could carry and headed back toward Colson Ridge. The road was empty. Everyone with any sense had evacuated south. The mine entrance was completely clear now. Whatever explosions had happened underground had blown away all the debris. The opening yawned like a mouth, with red light glowing deep inside. Stay here, I told Pat. Keep the engine running. Where are you going? To talk to their king. I walked into the mine with nothing but a flashlight and a whole lot of hope that I wasn't about to get myself killed. The tunnels were different now. The walls pulsed with red light.
I'm going to call Cap on this one because I'm sorry, but if a horde of burning demon-looking people setting an entire town on fire was happening, that would have made the news, I believe. I'm just gonna venture a guess here and say that if a horde of fiery demons descended on an entire town, they would have broadcasted that. So I'm calling Cap. I'm gonna change the story because this one is just.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Nightmare Narratives. I can picture some of you already in bed, maybe some of you just getting home from work. Wherever you are,
Why does he
whatever
keep
time it is,
saying that?
I'm glad
That's
you're
creepy.
here. If this helps you relax or sleep, please like and subscribe. It means a lot. Now let's get you comfortable, and I'll tell you tonight's story.
I don't know if I feel comforted by that or not, sir. I don't even know you, and you lead with, I'm picturing you in bed. That's a little creepy. Maybe don't lead with that. Like, we are not on that level, sir. And you picturing me in bed like some creepy stalker is not a comfort to me at all. Thank you. I don't want you picturing me in bed. That's a creepy thing to say. Like, who told this guy that that would be a great way to lead a conversation? Or start a conversation with, oh, I'm picturing you in bed, because that's not creepy. Totally normal thing to say upon introduction, sir.
My name is Vincent Calloway, and I've been a park ranger for 11 years. I'm telling you this because what happened to me in August of 1986 is the reason Wisconsin's Nicollet National Forest has a 50 square mile section marked as Wolf Research Area. No public access. There's no wolf research happening there. There hasn't been since that summer. They just needed an excuse to keep people out after what I saw. Before I tell you the rest, you need to understand something about me. I don't believe in monsters. I never did. I was an army tracker before this job, spent 2 tours in places where the real monsters were human beings with guns. When I came home and became a ranger, I thought I'd seen everything nature could throw at me. Wolves, bears, mountain lions. I knew their signs, their habits, their kills. I tracked them all. So when people talked about the Michigan Dogman legends, I laughed it off. Just bears walking on their back legs, I'd say. Shadows playing tricks. People seeing what they wanted to see. I was so damn sure of myself. It was the second week of August when my supervisor called me into his office. 12 cattle had been killed on farms along the forest border. The farmers were angry, scared, and demanding answers. My supervisor wanted me to handle it. Probably wolves, he said, but the kills are strange. Take Dempsey with you, and that new biologist, Whitmore. Make it official. Harold Dempsey was 56 years old and counting down the days to retirement. 53 days left, to be exact. He reminded me every morning. Harold had been a ranger longer than I'd been alive. He knew these woods better than anyone. Dr. Ellen Whitmore was 29 and fresh out of graduate school. She studied wolf behavior and was excited to finally do field work. Too excited, maybe. She had that academic eagerness that made her blind to danger. We drove out to the nearest farm that afternoon. The heat was brutal, even for August. But when we stepped out of the truck, the air felt wrong. Too cold, too still. The farmer, an older man named Tom Peterson, led us to his pasture. Lost 3 head this week, he said. Whatever got them, it wasn't normal. He was right. The first cow was sprawled in the grass, 50 yards from the fence. Its spine had been severed cleanly, like someone had taken an axe to it. But there were no tool marks, just teeth marks. Big ones. Ellen knelt beside it, pulling on latex gloves. The bite radius suggests canine, she said, but the jaw pressure... She looked up at me. This would require a wolf 3 times normal size. Grizzly? Harold suggested. Not in Wisconsin, I said. Not for 100 years. The organs had been removed, not torn out. Removed, carefully, surgically almost. And the tracks around the body made my skin crawl. They were canine. Wolf prints, definitely. But the spacing was wrong. They were too far apart, like whatever made them had been walking upright. And in some places, the prints showed all the weight on the back legs, just like a human walking. This is impossible, Ellen whispered. She was photographing the tracks with shaking hands. We found 2 more kills that day. Same thing. Spine severed. Organs gone. Those awful tracks leading back into the forest. Harold wanted to call it in and let someone else handle it. But I was curious now. Curious and angry. Something was killing livestock on my watch, in my forest, and I was going to find it. We headed into the woods the next morning with 3 days of supplies and a radio that barely worked. The signal was always bad in the Thunder Lake Valley. The mountains blocked everything. The forest felt different as soon as we crossed the tree line. Quieter. No birds singing, no squirrels chattering, just silence and tea. Had strange cold that didn't belong in August. I don't like this, Harold said. 33 years I've been doing this job. Never felt anything like this. Ellen was examining the ground. The tracks lead north, toward the old fire tower. I knew the tower. It had been abandoned since the 1960s. The stairs were rusted and dangerous. Nobody went up there anymore. We followed the trail for 6 hours. The tracks were fresh, probably from the night before. And they were getting stranger. In some places, they showed 4 legs. In others, just 2. Like the thing kept switching back and forth. What kind of animal does that? Ellen asked. None that I know of, I said. We found the first real kill site around noon. An elk. A big bull, probably 800 pounds. It had been dragged 300 yards up a slope so steep I had to use my hands to climb it. Whatever had moved that elk had strength that shouldn't exist. The kill was fresh, maybe 2 hours old. Blood was still dripping from the carcass. Harold checked his rifle. It's still close. Ellen was staring at something on the ground. Guys, you need to see this. The tracks near the elk were perfect. clear as day in the soft dirt. And they were wrong in every possible way. The front part was a wolf's paw, big one, maybe 6 inches across, but the back part stretched out like a human foot, 12 inches long. The weight distribution showed it had been standing on 2 legs when it killed the elk. "This is impossible," Ellen said again. Her voice was higher now, scared. "This can't be real." But it was real. I could see it, touch it, measure it. "We should go back," Harold said. "This is above our pay grade." "We're 2 days from the truck," I said. "And whatever this thing is, it's killing livestock. We need to at least figure out what we're dealing with." That was my first mistake. We reached the fire tower an hour before sunset. The tower stood in a small clearing, its metal frame red with rust. The stairs looked like they'd collapse if you breathed on them. But the tracks led right to the base. The end disappeared. "It climbed?" Ellen asked. We circled the tower, no tracks leading away. Whatever had come here was either still inside or had left by climbing down the other side. Harold shined his flashlight through the broken door at the base. Jesus Christ. The ground floor was filled with bones, dozens of elk skeletons picked completely clean. They were arranged in patterns, circles within circles, all facing the center of the room. "This is a feeding site," Ellen said. She stepped inside carefully, avoiding the bones. "But why arrange them?" The walls were covered in scratches, deep gouges in the metal, 4 parallel lines each. Claw marks. They went from floor to ceiling. Some of the marks formed shapes, letters. Harold moved closer with his light. "Those are German words." I felt cold, colder than I'd felt all day. "There was a POW camp near here," Harold said, "during World War II. German prisoners. Most got sent back after the war, but..." He trailed off. "But what?" I asked. "Story goes that a few escaped, vanished into the forest. They figured the men died of exposure or starvation. Never found bodies." Ellen was climbing the stairs despite the rust. "There's something up here." "Ellen, those stairs aren't safe," I called. She ignored me. The stairs groaned under her weight but held. She disappeared onto the second level. Harold and I waited, listening to her footsteps above us. Then we heard her gasp. "Vincent! Harold! Get up here!" We climbed carefully. The second floor was smaller, just a platform with windows looking out over the forest. In the corner was a pile of old blankets and what looked like a journal. Ellen was reading it, her flashlight shaking in her hand. "It's a diary," she said, "from 1945. A German POW named Klaus Volker. He escaped the camp and hid here." I took the journal from her. The handwriting was small and cramped. The early entry. Eyes talked about escape, about hiding, about hunger. Then they got strange. July 15th, 1945. I am so hungry. I ate the last of the supplies 3 days ago. I tried to eat bark and roots, but I'm getting weaker. I see wolves in the forest. Big ones. They watch me. July 20th, 1945. I found a dead deer today. Something had killed it. I ate the raw meat. I had no choice. It tasted good. Too good. July 28th, 1945. The wolves come closer now. I'm not afraid of them anymore. I feel different. Stronger. My hands hurt. My jaw hurts. August 3rd, 1945. I understand now. The hunger isn't weakness. It's a gift. The wolves knew. They were showing me. Tonight is the full moon. I will accept what I'm becoming. The last entry was dated August 4th, 1945. It wasn't the moon that changed me. It was the choice. The choice to become a predator instead of prey. The hunger never stops now. But I'm not weak anymore. I'll never be weak again. "This is crazy," Ellen said. "This guy went insane from starvation." "Maybe," Harold said. But he didn't sound convinced. I looked out the window. The sun was setting. The forest was turning dark. "We should make camp," I said. "We'll radio for pickup in the morning." We set up our tents in the clearing. Harold tried the radio, but there was too much interference. Just static and distant voices that didn't sound quite right. Ellen cooked dinner on our portable stove. We ate in silence, all of us thinking about that journal. "It's just a crazy man's writings," Ellen said finally. "People starve, they hallucinate. They write things that don't make sense." "Then what killed those cattle?" Harold asked. "What made those tracks?" Nobody had an answer. We took shifts on watch. Harold first, then me, then Ellen. I tried to sleep, but couldn't. Every sound in the forest made me jump. Around midnight, I heard howling. But it wasn't normal wolf howling. It was wrong. The pitch was off, too deep and too high at the same time. And underneath the howl, I swear I heard words, like someone was trying to talk and howl at the same time. Harold was sitting by, the fire, his rifle across his lap. "You hear that?" he whispered. "Yeah. That's not a wolf." "I know." The howling circled us, sometimes close, sometimes far. It went on for an hour, then stopped. The silence after was worse than the howling. I took over the watch at 2 a.m. Harold crawled into his tent. Ellen was already asleep in hers. I sat by the fire, feeding it logs, watching the darkness between the trees. My rifle was loaded and ready. At 3:30, I heard Ellen scream. I grabbed my rifle and ran to her tent. "Ellen, what's wrong?" "Something touched my tent. Something big." I circled her tent with my flashlight. There were tracks in the dirt. Fresh tracks. The same impossible tracks we'd been following. They came right up to her tent, circled it twice, then walked away. On two legs. Harold emerged from his tent with his rifle. "What happened?" "Something was here," I said. "It circled Ellen's tent." "Oh, God," Ellen whispered. She was still in her sleeping bag, too scared to come out. "It was sniffing. I heard it sniffing the tent fabric." We kept watch together after that, all three of us. Nobody was sleeping now. The sun finally rose around 6. We packed up fast, not talking, just wanting to get moving. "We're leaving," Harold said. "I don't care about the investigation. This is wrong." But Ellen wasn't in her tent. I called her name. No answer. Her sleeping bag was there. Her boots were there. But Ellen was gone. We found the blood trail 20 feet from camp. It led into the forest, toward a ravine. Drops of blood on leaves, on rocks. And those tracks. Those goddamn tracks walking on two legs, with smaller human footprints beside them. Ellen's footprints. But her boots were still at camp. She'd been barefoot. "Ellen!" I shouted. "Ellen, where are you? Help me!" Her voice came from the ravine. "Vincent! Harold, help me!" We ran toward her voice. The ravine was steep and rocky. We climbed down carefully, following Ellen's voice and the blood trail. "I'm hurt," she called. "Please hurry." "We're coming," Harold shouted. We found her, body wedged between two large rocks at the bottom. Her throat had been torn out. She'd been dead for hours. The blood was dry. Rigor mortis had already set in. But we'd heard her voice 30 seconds ago. Harold and I looked at each other. "That wasn't her," he whispered. "Help me!" Ellen's voice called again from deeper in the ravine. "Please, it hurts." "Oh, Jesus," Harold said. "Oh, Jesus Christ." We climbed back up as fast as we could. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely hold on to the rocks. Something howled behind us. Close. So close I could feel the vibration in my chest. When we reached the top, Harold immediately got on the radio. "Base, this is Thunder Lake Patrol. We have an emergency. Officer down. Repeat, officer down. We need immediate extraction." Static. "Base, do you copy? We need help." More static. Then a voice came through. A woman's voice. "Help me! Vincent! Harold, it hurts!" Ellen's voice, coming from the radio. Harold threw it on the ground. We ran back to camp, grabbed our essential gear, and started moving. We didn't know where we were going, just away. The forest felt alive now, watching. Every shadow seemed to move. Every sound made us spin around with our rifles ready. "What is that thing?" Harold asked. "I don't know." But it's smart. It's playing with us. We walked for 3 hours trying to put distance between us and that ravine. The terrain was rough, lots of deadfall and thick underbrush, slow going. Around noon, Harold stopped. Someone's been following us. I know. I can feel it too. We never saw it, but we could hear it. Branches breaking, leaves rustling, always just out of sight, keeping pace with us. When we stopped, it stopped. When we moved, it moved. It's hunting us.
Hello, Official and Cheryl. Isn't it pretty? Ooh, it's sparkly too. Look at the sparkles. Now I gotta do another color. I'll be right back.
A man visiting some family for a couple of days finds himself in a cold and eerie loft. But he soon wakes up to find he is not alone up there. Something from outside has decided to join him. Welcome back to Unexplained Encounters. I'm your host, Darkness Prevails, here to tell you stories of the unknown from real people like you. Today's stories feature dogman encounters, disturbing shadows, and visages from the end of the world that you do not want to see. If you have a scary story of the unknown, and you want to hear it on this show, send it to me at darkstories.org. Help us grow by finding Unexplained Encounters on your favorite podcast app and leaving us a follow. Or subscribe to Darkness Prevails on YouTube and give this episode a thumbs up. Thank you. Now, let's begin.
Yeah, there it is.
I hate
I'm having to reload my
lofts.
diamonds.
From Sir Loftalot.
Sure loft a lot.
My apartment was being fumigated for bed bugs. The whole building had them
Ew.
thanks to the couple in 3B, who I won't specifically name, who had brought back infested furniture from a yard sale. 2 days, they said, we'd need to be out. Most people went to hotels, but my brother Garrett and his wife Lynn offered to let me crash at their place. Fair warning, Garrett said when he picked me up. You'll be in the loft. It's not exactly the Ritz either. He wasn't kidding. Their house was one of those split-level deals from the 70s, and the loft was this converted attic space above the garage. You got to it through a pull-down ladder in the hallway. It had been Garrett's home office before he started working from the kitchen table like everyone else. The space itself wasn't so bad. It was decent-sized with wood floors, and it even had built-in shelves along one wall. But it was cold as heck up there, even though it was just September. The insulation was garbage, and there was this massive circular window, maybe 4 feet across, that faced the backyard. One of those architectural features that looks cool, but makes no practical sense. And the window doesn't lock, Lynn apologized, handing me blankets. Actually, it doesn't even latch either. Just lean something against it if the wind picks up. The window opened outward on hinges, and sure enough, when I pushed it, it swung open easily. Looking out, I could see their backyard. It was a big garden area that Lynn was always posting photos of on Instagram. There was this heavy wooden lattice covered in ivy that ran up the back wall of the house, ending just below the window. It looked sturdy enough to hold a person, though at the time I couldn't imagine why anyone would want to climb it. My nephews, 8-year-old Dustin and 6-year-old Cameron, thought it was hilarious that Uncle Pete was sleeping in the treehouse, as they called it. They helped me haul up my air mattress and bag. Then Lynn shooed them off to get ready for bed. Their rooms were directly below the loft, on the second floor of the house. That first night, I set up my makeshift bed in the middle of the room, right under the sloped ceiling. I had my phone, a bottle of water, and a book. Once I was settled in, it was pretty cozy, actually, even though it was deathfully cold. I could hear the family moving around below me. There was running water and muffled TV sounds. Could even hear the kids arguing about something. Normal, happy house noise. At around midnight, I woke up needing to go pee. I had had too much coffee at dinner. The house was quiet now. Everyone was probably in bed. I made my way down the ladder carefully, trying my best to avoid making it creak. I used the bathroom on the second floor and washed my hands. Then I headed back up. When I got back to the loft, my water bottle was on its side by the window. I distinctly remembered leaving it next to my pillow standing up. The window, as well, was open about 3 inches. I assumed I must have knocked the bottle over when I got up. Didn't notice it. Maybe the temperature change had made the window swing open a little bit. Old houses do weird things, and pressure and all that. I closed it, then hung my backpack over the inner handles, which were, I guess, useless, hoping it would weigh it down, to keep it from opening on its own. Then I went back to sleep. At around 3 a.m., a scratching noise woke me up. Sounded like some sort of animal was moving around in the backyard, rustling through Lynn's garden. Probably possums. Garrett had mentioned they'd been getting into the compost bin. I heard the sound move closer to the house, and I heard what sounded like claws on wood. Whatever it was had found the lattice. The climbing sound continued, slowly. Not the quick scurrying of a raccoon or possum. This one sounded heavy. The lattice creaked under some weight. I lay there staring at the dark circle of the window, waiting for some sort of masked face to appear and scare the living daylights out of me. But nothing showed up. The climbing sounds stopped right below the window. Then, after maybe 30 seconds, they began to descend again. Whoever it was, whatever it was, changed its mind. I heard it moving through the garden after that, followed by nothing. Truthfully, I didn't sleep much after that. The next morning at breakfast, I mentioned hearing animals in the yard. Lynn and Garrett exchanged a quick look. "Yeah, we get all kinds of wildlife here," Lynn said, focusing on her eggs. "Usually possums or deer." "Big possums," Garrett added. "Some of them are huge." Dustin piped up. "Tell them about the..." "Finish your cereal," Lynn cut him off. "You're going to be late for school otherwise." I spent the day out of the house, killing time at coffee shops and the library, not looking forward to another night in that loft, even though there was just one more night. When I got back after dinner, Garrett had put a space heater up there. "Figured he might be kinda cold," he said. "Last night in the loft, then back to your own bed tomorrow, huh?" I nodded my head and thanked him. That night I was exhausted. I had barely slept the night before, and the space heater made the loft feel really comfortable. I decided to set up my air mattress in the corner, away from that window. If something wanted to climb up and look in, it wouldn't see me right away. I hung my backpack over the handles again, and around 11, book still in my hand, I dozed off. The noise that woke me up wasn't scratching this time. It was breathing. Deep breaths that weren't coming from below or outside. It was coming from in the loft. I opened my eyes without moving my head at all. From my corner, I could see most of the room in the dim light from the street lamp outside. The circular loft window was wide open. Something was crawling across the floor. It moved on all fours, unlike any animal I'd ever known. The limbs were very long, bending too soon or too late, I couldn't tell. And whatever it was covered all over in dark fur. The head was massive, too big for the thin neck, and elongated in a way that made my stomach all acidic and nauseous. It was sniffing quietly as it moved, head low to the ground, following some trail across the floor that I couldn't see. When it reached my water bottle, still where I'd left it by my pillow from the first night, it picked it up. It picked it up like a man, with a hand, or what looked like a hand. I could clearly see that what it was using to grab that bottle had opposable thumbs, but those thumbs were twice as long as mine, at least, each ending in a thick, dark nail. The creature examined the bottle, turning it over, then set it down carefully. Then it continued to move toward the ladder opening. It moved to the edge and peered down into the hallway below. The way its neck extended, stretching to look down, made me want to close my eyes and pretend I was only dreaming. But I couldn't really look away. It was studying the hallway, head tilting back and forth. Then it started to lower itself down, backwards, those long fingers gripping the edge of the opening. The kids' rooms were down there. Dustin and Cameron sleeping, with this thing about to crawl down into their hallway. I tried to scream, but nothing came out at first. Nothing more than a wheeze of terror. The thing's head then snapped toward me, and I saw its face clearly for the first time. It was like a wolf's face, stretched and flattened, and its eyes reflected light like a dog's, and they were focused directly on me. I found my voice then, and screamed, really screamed, as loud as I could. That thing moved faster than anything that size should be able to. It rose up right away on two legs, slamming its head into the sloped ceiling with a crack that sounded like bone or wood. It made a sound, not quite a growl, not quite a screech, but something between the two that I could feel deep in my chest. Then it scrambled for the window, those awkwardly long limbs flailing and knocking over everything in its path. It went through the window head first, and I heard the lattice groaning and snapping under its weight as it went down. By the time I got to the window to look out, the backyard was empty. Garrett was up the ladder 30 seconds later with a baseball bat. Lynn was right behind him. I could hear the kids crying downstairs, frightened due to my scream. I told Garrett and Lynn everything, my words tumbling out in a rush while I was still shaking. They didn't laugh at me, though, and they told me it was no dream. Lynn got teary-eyed as she told me. We've seen it 3 times now, in the backyard. It's always after dark. We never thought it would climb the lattice. We didn't think it would come inside, Garrett added, staring at the open window. They'd been telling them...
Fuck if I know. Maybe context would be great. For what? How many would you need for what? The fuck? I don't think you need them at all, honestly. There are so many alternatives to opiates out there. Honestly, I mean, if you need them, you know, that's one thing, I guess. I just don't advise them. Like, not long term, anyway. If you can help it, I guess, you know. Check it out. It's actually coming together pretty good. But anyway, I'm gonna lay down and try to get some sleep. Emphasis on try. Yeah. Good night, take a seat. You all have a good night, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.